Alive and Well STL is a presentation of the St. Louis Regional Health Commission and RareGem Productions to build a healthier St. Louis. Power up with the positive. Learn more at OneRareGem.com. That's OneRaregem.com. The Regional Health Commission works in partnership with regional health sector advocates and stakeholders to improve healthcare access, reduce health disparities, and improve health outcomes for the uninsured and the underinsured in St. Louis City and County.
Alive and Well STL. The teens of America are talking, but for many, what they have to share is painful.
I think it's challenging. You're trying to build who you are, and you're trying to see yourself as an individual. But everyone around you is looking at the media for their own voice, but that's not their voice, you know?
The pressures of their culture, the sense of hopelessness, the desire to numb the pain. Alive and Well STL takes a closer look and, more importantly, listen to what our young people are trying to say. This is producer Jade Harrell. We'll be right back. As parents, we carry a whole lot of weight. And with that, we can carry a whole lot of stress. Between the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows, the joy and the growing pains, it's natural for us to put ourselves last. Take 5 when you start to feel like you're losing yourself. You'd be surprised what a difference a few moments can do to make you feel more like yourself again. And when we take better care of ourselves, we're better parents. And when we feel better, the whole family can be alive and well. Get tips to take 5. Go to aliveandwellstl.com. Alive and Well STL. Well, Teens of America is an outreach, a communication and expression platform that gives young people an opportunity to connect, to reach out for support, and to maybe just share their perspective. I am joined today by the founder as well as the host of Teens of America, Sean Mulroney. Thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you, Jade. You're awesome, as I can say, so thank you for having me.
But I know that you've come to be a master at this and in such a place where it's necessary. I remember, at least for me as a young person, trying to figure out, well, am I okay? Am I enough? Who am I at all, and what do I want to say with a full set of feelings and hopes and goals and dreams and insecurities? So for you to be able to create an opportunity for those things to come out, but also to respond to that need is a very powerful outreach and work that you're doing. So I commend you on that. Talk a little bit about how the idea of Teens of America came to be.
Well, Jade, it started way back, whenever I was 6 years of age. I tried marijuana and alcohol the first time I can remember was when I was 6. My parents came here from Ireland, back in the late 60s. And, of course, I was born in 1970. I'm the youngest of 5. And my father died when I was 6 years of age. He died of cancer, was involved in drinking quite a bit. And my mother had to work 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. So she couldn't afford a babysitter. So my siblings, especially my 2 sisters who I love dearly, they were making bad choices, teenagers, raising and helping with a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old. And they were heavily into drugs and alcohol, big time, going to parties. I remember passing out at parties in basements in inner city. I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. By the time I was 13, I was a heavy drug addict and alcoholic, heavy. Bad friends, you are soon will be exactly what your friends are. And I was making choices that nobody should have ever done. And through my teen years, my mom came out of that, and we moved to the suburbs from the inner city of Pittsburgh to the suburbs and thought it was going to change. Well, I was the one that was the influencer. I wasn't getting influence. I would influence and make bad choices and help others make them bad choices. So, long story short, by the time my teen years came around, I was very heavily involved in sports, but drugs and alcohol were taking over me, and it has taken over my friends, too. I had a friend die of a suicide, very close to me. I had a friend die from a drinking and driving accident 2 weeks after we graduated from high school. And I had a very good friend, his name was Sean also, that died from a heroin overdose at the age of 19. As well as a lot of family members overdosed and got involved in heroin pretty big time. So what happened was the turning point in my life was whenever I was 21. I had a mentor, his name's Brad. He said to me, he goes, well, what if that happens to you? He says, you know what? There's choices caught up to them, but there's always a choice and there's always a consequence, which stuck in my brain, and I never got away from it. And that's what I use today and everywhere I speak, on our show, in assemblies, is that the choice is yours, but not the consequences. So I made every choice under the sun. So guess what? Through that, never thinking I was there, I even had a teacher tell me that if there was a vote to one least lady to succeed, I would get it. So I was pretty bad. I don't even know how I got through high school. Right. But I got through. I graduated, 1990. I was 19 when I graduated, 3 months away from being 20. So I stayed the course. I failed 7th grade. I went through, never thinking all that. So here's what happened. I came out of that. My mother was there for me. She was a constant in me. And then also a mentor, Brad Cranston, who loved me in spite of me, wasn't my family. So guess what happened? From there, we have Teens of America, all because of using my past as a stepping stone and not as a stumbling block, and helping people to understand that you can make them choices, but the consequences are going to catch up.
Well, you took the things you stumbled over.
Correct.
Personally.
Exactly.
And, I mean, that speaks volumes that you were able to stumble over.
Yes.
Because you also spoke about friends that their journey ended. And we know this all too well and too frequently, that those journeys do end.
Yes, they do.
And at some point, not only was it grace, but it was someone.
Yes, always.
That it's always going to be a person.
That's right.
That helps us, or that shows us the way. And then you realize that, wow, I got through this for a reason.
Because of that somebody.
Because of that somebody.
The crooked sticks that draw straight lines.
Look at that.
And that's what happened to me, is somebody cared. People don't care much you know until they know much you care.
That's right.
And I had a lot of people write me off because of my past, Jade. I was molested for 2.5 years from a neighbor boy. Well, I was a throwaway, damaged kid, but you know what? Somebody had hope in me.
That's right.
Somebody. I love that. Somebody. You're right on.
It's going to be through
somebody.
And by somebody.
That's
right. That's right.
That's good.
Because we're so interconnected. Now, you said something earlier in a conversation. You said, I was a billboard of poor choices.
Yes, correct.
And that tends to be the case for all of us, but just they're not as obvious. I remember one of my prayers was, Lord, make it obvious, like a billboard.
Right.
So I can get this thing finally, and some billboards are subtle, some have too much text, but some, either way, they're the thing that goes before you and says, well, here's what's going on with me. And I want mine to be a big, bright, beaming light of hope.
Well, you got that with me.
Well, give thanks.
That's it. That's exactly right.
And so Teens of America, for anyone who doesn't know, how would you describe what Teens of America is?
Teens of America, we're a drug, alcohol, violence prevention program that helps people with mental health, mental illness, suicide, bullying. We have a 24-hour text line that I was just dealing with somebody actually today that was wanting to take their life. We got the authorities to them today. At 8:30 this morning today. So
their story would have been different.
Yes. They seen our number. They seen our number on one of our social media sites. So they reached out to us. So me, Jade, I went all the way through that billboard of poor choices, like you said. Well, here's what happened. You have people come in and speak in schools and assemblies and stuff. And they come in there, they're in a wheelchair because they were in a drink and drive an accident, or they lost an arm, or they lost something else because of that. But I'm different. I sat there as a 17, 18-year-old, never thinking it would catch up to me. Well, my highest weight I got to was 680 pounds. Okay. So I had a 680-pound problem, and the difference between mine and everybody else is you can see mine.
Right.
So what I did is I let my vulnerability, my light shine, and where I'm at, because I got discouraged by it. And what happened is I go in there and I discuss that my choices, I didn't come in here because of drinking and driving. I came in here because of my choices that I made, my physical choices, and also the things I ate and the things I did. It caught up to me. It destroyed my metabolism. It destroyed everything, my hypothalamus gland. It knocked me out of... No kid should ever put marijuana or alcohol in their mouth, in their body whenever they're at that age. So what I do is I go in there and say, look at me. me.
Right.
I beat them. I'm the elephant in the room, if you will. I say, here's me. Look at me. And they can't say it. Of course, they're looking at it. They're going to say, look at that fat guy. Look, you know what I mean? People are going to laugh, whatever. But I said, okay, I'm going to get by that because they're looking at me. So then I say, I'm a billboard of my choices.
Sure.
I didn't come here because of a drinking and driving accident, because of drug overdose. I came here because of my choices. Now, this is my consequence.
What it communicates to me even more as you speak is how, okay, so we are this billboard, but then what does that billboard direct a person to do? So though this may be my choices, but man, don't they see you? Okay.
Yes.
Sometimes getting someone's attention is challenging.
Very much so.
And I've had situations where I've pleaded and I've tried and I've evangelized or whatever the case may be.
Yes.
In the hope to help someone. But at the end of the day, our living is one of the greatest reflections and megaphones for the message we're trying to send. And so you're doing that. Now you communicate, you create this outreach, this platform through your podcast and radio program.
And also assemblies also.
And at the assemblies at school. Exactly. So you're encountering and reaching our young people where they are.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
What is your sense of where things are for our teens in America?
Let me put it this way. That's
Okay.
a big question. It's a very big question. But let me say it this way. Teenagers have more access to things that we didn't growing up than ever. I believe teenagers are the face of the future. They're not 100% of our population, but they're 100% of our future. They have more things coming at them than we can shake a stick at. And if we don't give them something how they can channel and give them a voice and validate them, I've had girls come up to me, Jade, and say, I was going to take my life, and had their suicide. 1 in 4 teenagers have a suicide plan before their senior year.
Before their life plan.
Yeah, exactly. Before
and
their life plan.
And we couldn't sell them the retirement plan.
That's gone. I mean, that's bye-bye.
A suicide
and
plan.
I've had a girl, she had her suicide plan tattooed on her thigh, Jade. I've had teenage guys come up there and say, weeping to me, saying they're addicted to drugs and pain pills, and they're coming up to me. And then you know what happens? It opens up a dialogue box to where I say, okay, you're opening up, they open up. Once you get them to open up, teenagers talk to teenagers. The last one to find out is parents, adults, and administrators in school. So if we don't give them a direct voice and a validation of making them that they are important and that they matter because they do and they're unique, and not to judge them, not to toss them to the side, and let them know that, hey, you making bad choices, guess what?
Right.
We're all in the same boat, and you're going to make bad choices. But you know what the difference is? What they've said to me is, the teenagers that come up to me say, you've given me hope. Right. You've given me a new lease on life. Not because I'm not the savior. I mean, I have a greater savior than that. I'm not it. I'm just a conduit.
Yes,
I'm just a tool. I'm a crooked stick trying to draw a straight line. That's all I am.
I love it.
I'm nothing but a failure. But you know what? I'm more than that by the grace of God. And what I'm saying is, I'm looking at teenagers is that they come and they resonate with me. They relate to me, and I give them a voice and give them validation on everything from bullying to suicide. We did an event here in Warrenton. A young lady, Destiny Gleason, and the Clarks, who I love them dearly, been close to them. She passed away. She took her life 14 years of age this last May, 2 weeks before the end of school. We did an event there in Warrenton, and we had parents out there. We had about 100 or so people out there. And now we're getting ready to go in there and speak to all the students, because you know what happened? If we can resonate and we can connect to people and let them know that they matter and that they have a purpose in life, that's all I do. I give them, I'm not necessarily a teen expert. I'm a teen resource expert.
Sure.
I get them to the place that they need to be. That's all I want teens of America to do, to be a sponge and to be them and direct them, just like we did with that young man today. Today. He
is now still here to talk about it today to someone. And that's the thing about this work that you're in, is that there are lives on the other side of this.
There is.
And we're not talking about just one life, because I also have learned that for every person that takes their lives, statistics show that there's 6 to 15 others that are exponentially impacted by that, and there can be additional repercussions with folks considering whether or not they want to be here or not. I would like to speak to one of the young people that you brought with you. You brought your team.
I did.
With you. We are very excited to have with us as well Miss Paige. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so thrilled because you can talk about it from the recipient's perspective. Now, you got to experience Sean at an assembly, and that was your first encounter with him. What was that like for you? What was your impression?
He was talking about hard stuff and wasn't sugarcoating it, and it was really real, and it was hard to swallow at first, but it really opened up your eyes to what's real in life.
Sure. How did that differ from what you were hearing before the assembly?
I wasn't really hearing anything before the assembly because people don't like to talk about it.
Yeah. It's tough to talk about. It's tough to talk about that real feeling, painful, hard stuff. It's hard to get out. What place were you in when you first heard Sean's message?
I was in a very bad place.
You personally?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't imagine that today as I see the brightness in your eyes and the sweet smile you have. I couldn't have imagined. And if you were feeling that way, or like the young man that we talked about, wanted to go and take his own life, today he couldn't imagine several days later that it'd be different. Can you share with us what was going on with you?
I was having major suicidal thoughts, and I was self-harming. Like many other teenagers, I had very bad self-image and some bullying problems.
Mm-hmm. Came from other folks and their input, huh?
Yeah.
Right. And it can be so loud. I remember how loud those voices were and how much more it resonated with me than the meager voice I was building up in confidence at the time. So when he kept it real, even though it was tough, what did that create for you personally?
It created hope.
Mm-hmm. What did hope do for you?
It was just like a lifeline whenever I was in a bad place, and it was very relieving.
Mm-hmm. You decided to stick around.
Yeah.
And now you're part of the team, right? As you look back, how do you feel about the decision?
The decision to join Teams of America?
To join Teams of America, to press toward hope, to move past the place of despair. And
it's the best thing I've ever done with my life.
How about that? What's it like now hearing other teens that feel like you felt?
I just realized that, it seems so big at the time, but it's really not, and you'll get through it.
Yeah. How do you help them come to terms with that it's not as big as it seems? Just
try to explain it and try to give them a different perspective.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to ask you a similar question like I asked Sean. Where do you, and I'm glad he put in perspective, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of access, there's a lot more voices that honestly, for somebody who's trying to live positive, there's a lot of negativity. It's like we're swimming in it. Where do you feel like our teens are and what they need most to help see and have hope?
I think our teens are at a very critical point in time, and they are trying to do all these things. They're trying to grow up faster. They're trying to get into all this bad stuff, and that's not good. And we need more awareness towards stuff that can be going on in their life, because it's not a joke, and it's not something that's just going to blow over. It's going to get worse if we don't notice it.
For sure. Awareness is a very good word to use, because Sean said that the parents find out last, figure it out last. We have no clue, right? So how can we be a help, and where would you direct us to be more aware of what to look for, or even how to be a resource for our own young people?
Don't judge, and whatever they tell you, just try not, it's valid. Everything they say is valid, and it's not small because you went through bigger stuff, and it's not less of a problem because you went through these big problems whenever you were a teen. It's different now. There are different generations, and there's different problems.
Wow. You helped me a lot right there. Are there any words that we shouldn't use, or words that you feel like we should?
I feel like instead of saying, just don't do that, they're having problems with self-harm, just don't cut. No, don't say that.
Okay.
It's not that easy.
Okay. What would be the best response?
probably how could I help you?
As I work with people in a trauma-informed community and toxic stress initiatives, they say one of the best things we can do is change our dialogue from what's wrong with you to what's happened. And understanding that we are more about what's going on with us than the symptoms of what we carry or express. And so for you to say, how can I help you, is a very good question, which really opens up, I think, a channel for that communication to happen that Sean is able to do. And he can't do it all by himself. So many of us need to get that and start to understand that. What do you love most about what you do with Teens of America now?
I just love that every show we have and every person we talk to could be another chance to save a life.
Mm-hmm. And what is the hope and opportunity in that life, huh?
It's just everything.
Yeah. If it's if you're any example of what could happen, sweet. Let's score as many as possible, because this was a win for us, for sure. Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that page. So let's talk with Miss Jess. Jess on the team.
Hello.
What's going on, Jess?
I'm like hyped up right now.
Yeah?
I don't know if I can compete with that.
You don't need to. You don't need to. Bring the you to it.
I will.
This is the win team. Like I said, we're winning. I mean, get that. Somebody out there feels like they're losing.
Most people do.
And we're in this room breaking some statistics right here and winning.
Yes,
because
ma'am.
you're amped right now.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to share why you feel so amped right now.
Well, I've been with Teens America for a year and probably 3 months now, and it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing opportunity for people to share their voice and to come to, I mean, everyone needs help in some area of their life. And whenever we post stuff on social media, we really want people to reach out, because that's why we're here. We want people to spread the word and, have people see a positive message for once, instead of all the negative stuff like you were talking about.
Right.
Because it honestly seems like everything in the news, another shooting, another victim, it's just horrible. And I wish that we could change what we really see.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you said that we were creating a place for folks to use their voice.
Right.
What are you hearing?
I'd say most people that are reaching out have been through bullying or have suicidal thoughts. I've talked to a handful of people that have been bullied, and they share just it's so upsetting. And what I try to do is stay in contact with them. And there's this one girl, she's so pretty. She has the biggest heart, and I almost cry every time I talk to her, because she says somebody else said this, and I'm like, I know it's hard to, tell somebody, stop doing that, don't do that. But I'd say, try to think about where you were and how you are now and who you have in your life. And I try to give her some hope every time I talk to her, and I say, you're beautiful. You don't look like everyone else, Not everyone is supposed to look like everyone. Otherwise, we wouldn't have anything special going on. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big problem, too, is everyone wants to fit in. Self-image is huge. Everyone wants to be a size 0. If you're not, then, you're looked down upon, which is getting a lot better with models that are plus size. And I don't think there should be a plus size label. I think that just says it right there. What's plus size mean? Well,
that's something other than
exactly
the standard. Yeah.
And that makes girls that have to go to the plus size section feel lesser than any other size.
Well, for that matter, we can even go into the style of clothes.
Right.
So now I feel like I need to wear this thing. Mm-hmm. And there's some things, I tell you what, that's just cruel.
Yeah.
That by the end of the day, you're like, why did I wear this? And someone please help me get out of it.
Oh, I know.
I've been there. But I appreciate what you said about, I guess I want to know, is it that there are not enough voices that say you're okay? Or what makes the other voices so loud and pronounced that they mute out and distort what we could be hearing in an affirmation of ourselves?
I think it's challenging whenever you're going through middle school and then you transition to high school. You're trying to build who you are, and you're trying to see yourself as an individual. but everyone around you is looking at the media for their own voice, but that's not their voice, you know? The media always has these beautiful women and all these perfect guys. Like, I mean, it's just impossible. And I think we really do look to media, you know, it could be social media or television, anything like that, for our own voices. And, you know, we kind of compare how they look, how they sound, what they do to us. And then that just totally draws the line, you know?
I do. That's what makes me excited about what you're doing, though, because it's another source of media.
Right.
Because now we are more able to choose the content we take in. We can decide what I want to see, what I want to engage, what I want to consume.
That's true.
And therefore I can say, well, you guys don't look like me.
Bye.
I feel welcome. Right. Bye, Felicia. I feel welcome over here. And I have the choice to be there. I don't have to strive for that. And that's what makes what you are doing with Teens of America, but why I'm so committed with my company, RareGem Productions, is to make positive media, to make media positive. Because there should be an option to choose and find a welcome place. Jess, how has your voice changed?
Well, whenever I was going into my freshman year, I started smoking weed, and then that led me into total addiction. I was addicted to pills and marijuana heavily. I spent every weekend, every second thinking about when am I going to get high. And that kind of brought me around the wrong people at the wrong time. And it totally affected who I am today in good and both bad ways, because I had to drop all those people from my life. You can't stay around the same people that were doing bad things unless they are changing too. Sure. So I had to, you know, lose a lot of people from my life. And it's still hard today because I only have a couple friends, and sometimes I want to go out and do stuff, and they're busy and they're in college, and it's just really hard. And I think I did get lost, and I wanted, I guess, to fit in with the crowd that was doing stuff. And I kind of lost, you know, who am I? What am I doing with all of that experimentation?
It's something that when that happens as we're trying to figure it out. So getting lost makes sense. And then discovering that this is not it. How do I find my way out?
Right.
And I can tell you personally, I understand what you've gone through. I've lived that myself. Sometimes it took a few times to be fully convinced that, well, this is not it.
Right.
Because I thought maybe a little adjustment here. Well, what if it's this with a little bit of that?
Yeah.
You know, or what if it's this if I only occasionally that? And it ended the same way.
Exactly.
Over and over again. And for me, that's what it took to get it.
Right.
But on the other side of it, you know, it's painful. It's hard to admit. There's times where I won't touch it. But I also, in a sense, give thanks for it because, one, I could still be lost. This could be a lifelong thing, or I could be done.
Yeah, I've said that a million times. I look back on all the things I did in drinking and driving, and then acid and driving, just stuff that you just didn't think about then.
Sometimes I quiver at what could have happened. Yeah. But grace.
Exactly.
You know, but God. And in that, though, I don't reside there. You can't bring that baggage. You can. It's possible. If you bring that with you today, then that's what you're carrying into today.
Exactly.
And if God's mercies renew every day, then why not would ours? So your voice today, young lady, is helping others.
Thank you.
Even when you don't say something. That you have a listening and knowing ear.
Yeah.
Right?
I really love doing that. I really like feeling like I'm helping and trying to check on them, and it just feels good inside knowing I'm actually doing something and helping others.
It does. Again, when you can move into something beyond yourself and operate in something beyond yourself, because we get caught up in that. We reside there. Then the committee in our head, and then our not enoughness, and all that goes on. But then when it's for someone else, and not to say everybody's going to show tremendous results right away. I mean, for goodness sakes, children, we might not ever know if what
I know.
Right? We might not ever know even with our own children. But the effort, the time, and the energy into it, most certainly, you know, it's not going to be wasted.
It's an investment.
It doesn't come back to you void, and you can never outgive.
Right.
You can never outgive. So I value that. Your voice today, how would you describe how you feel about you today? And you look awesome, by the way.
Oh, thanks. I still struggle. It's hard. It's a mind game with me with self-image and stuff, but I think sometimes you just have to move past it and kind of forget about it. But I hope to say that I'm improving a little bit by being comfortable. I'd say my voice is definitely outspoken now, way more than it would have been back in high school. I wouldn't even see myself doing half the stuff and caring about people as much as I do nowadays.
One more question for the two of you that came up from listening to what you're saying. What do you do when you're not so sure? Because you said you still struggle, you still do. Nobody said it was going to go all the way away.
Yeah.
But how do you manage or cope or address this when you're not feeling so strong?
I guess I just kind of take a look at what I'm doing and not necessarily compare it, but kind of look back to where I was and see, I am a lot better and I'm doing stuff that can add value to others' lives and my own. So I try to think about those types of things instead of what I look like and this is it right there and all that kind of stupid stuff, because it's not helping me. Putting negative, you're only going to get negative out.
For sure. So, and, it took a while for us to get in that space. It may take a little time to get out.
Yep.
But what I do appreciate what you're saying is just give yourself a little more time, and get past at least this point to discover that there's more. What about you, Paige? How do you get through?
I personally just do things that I enjoy and do things that I love and that make me feel alive.
Yeah. Change your state. I love it. All right, well, Sean, you brought another team member. Sean, you got a thing for Sean's.
No doubt.
Now, how did you come to meet Sean? And now talk about your role here with Teens of America.
I've known Sean for probably 20 years or so. I've been with Teens of America for probably 15 years, working with him, working alongside him. I guess I'm just the utility man, just do whatever needs to be done. And, I run the co-host on the show and run the board and all that. So
why do you do it?
I don't know. He's kind of pitiful. So
there's just some folks you got to help, right?
Yeah. He's just got a face that you just...
I know. It's a sweet face.
I enjoy helping people. I enjoy that even though I know I may not be the one talking directly to the young people and conversing with them, I know that what I do does make a difference.
What do you see happening with Teens of America?
I see Teens of America only getting bigger. I mean, there's never going to be a shortage of young people who are in need.
For sure.
And I see it firsthand in my line of work, and if by the grace of God, I see Teens of America just exploding.
Your line of work, share with us what you do.
I work as a 911 dispatcher.
See, how does Teens of America complement, support, and make a difference in the work you do? And
I would say it probably, it makes me a little more sympathetic and empathetic toward people who call and people we deal with. Talking about suicide, at least one or two suicide attempts every time I work.
Wow.
At least one or two.
Every night?
Yes.
Every night?
Yes.
Someone doesn't want to be here?
Yes. Either by overdose, by gunshot, hanging.
Yes, sir. Well, then you hear so much and experience this on a daily basis. There's two questions I have for you. One is personal. One is about the work. Is there a story? Is there a person's experience that has just never let you go?
Yeah, I would say there was a call where a mother took her own life, but not before she took the lives of her 3 children. Mm-hmm. And strapped into the seat of their car, shot her 3 children, and then ended her own life. Mm-hmm. You know, and she wasn't a teenager, but I think, you know, what could have been if she would have had somebody to talk to her and be a go-between for her.
And we're talking that necessity, whether or not there's a physical, mental wellness issue, or if it's an emotional or spiritual issue as well, there's still something that needs to be a response. How should we be responding to this number of people that feel this way?
I think taking away the stigma of mental illness and suicide and taking that stigma away, and just instead of being judgmental towards these people. And I know, you know, with, you know, just the field of law enforcement and public safety, you know, there's a tendency to get, you know, jaded, you know, and
let's say desensitized.
And there is a tendency to do that. You see it and hear it so much, and, you know, you get the next call you get, it's just another call, another call, another call. So it I think we need to take away that stigma and just have more of a desire to help people.
I can understand how that can feel hopeless over time, frustrating. It's like a unsurmountable feat. How on earth can I do anything about something that's just so overwhelming? But I can see in your eyes that you love and care for people. And to even be in this work 20 years, what do you do to stay engaged, but also to keep your feelings alive and intact?
Well, in terms of work, I would say I had somebody tell me years ago when I started, and it's always stuck with me. You're doing as much for those people who are calling as you can from that chair. So you're doing everything you can for them. So, you know, that helps me not take it home, you know, and that's important, you know, not taking it home with you.
That's right.
And
yeah, if you turn right around and you're clocking back into it within 24 hours, that's no joke.
Yeah.
That's no joke. What can we do well from where we are as listeners, as parents, as community members?
Stop calling 911. Just stop. No, I'm kidding.
Are you kidding? I'm like, really?
We say that all the time. Just stop calling.
Yeah.
For the love of Pete, stop calling.
It's endless.
It is. I would say
it's endless because where else would people turn for help?
Exactly.
They're like, I don't know what else to do but to call.
People don't call us because they're having a great day and they just want to have somebody to talk to.
You know what? That gives me incentive to call 911. I mean, for just like 6 seconds, because I know you got other calls to take, but to say, hey, you know what? Thanks for doing what you're doing.
We get those. we do get those periodically.
Right. But I guess, yeah. So what I hear in that is find a connection, do some work to love, find, and support yourselves in a positive environment. You know, find ways to de-stress, to feel welcome, to have human connection, to turn off the news feed.
Yes, that's very important. You have to, you need time away and to recenter yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, whether it's with family or kids, I have 2 kids, so, you know,
What are their ages?
They're 4.
Mm-hmm.
I have 4-year-old twins.
Look at you. You thought you had stress.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing. I just can't imagine. 4 is a juicy age anyway.
It's gotten better. 3
Right?
was probably the worst.
Was it real? Yeah. I bet. So as you hear the teens that you speak with, and of course adults as well, not the adults. When you think about your 4-year-olds, what things will you do that their story, their voices are different from what you're hearing?
Well, the older they get, and even now, starting now, teaching them and showing them true love, and that they can talk to me about anything, and that their concerns do matter, and their problems do matter.
I love it. All right, let's get back to you, Sean. We've got an amazing team of people that for sure get it. This is just 4 of who are making impact. Share a little bit about the numbers of teens that you're reaching on a regular basis.
Right. This week, I dealt with 30 teen girls and teen guys this week over text and via phone call on our text line and our call-in line. Last year, of course, 7 days, this morning included, which that young man also said, he said, I would not be alive had I not spoken to you, just so you know that.
And then he knew there was something other than 911.
Correct.
This is the bright, beautiful light that happens.
Correct.
There's more than 911.
There is.
There's Teens of America. There's Jess. There's Paige. There's Jade.
Exactly.
We are here.
We are.
We care, and you do matter.
Yes.
Let folks know where to find, how to get connected, where to find out more, and what you need to help do this.
Well, go to teensofamerica.net. And, my motto, too, teensofamerica.net is our website. We need to be someone that makes everyone feel like somebody. That's the bottom line. If they know, and listen to me, to work with teenagers, there's not a lot of glory to it. And a lot of people sometimes steal the glory from it. They think it's prestige. And I've had a lot of people act like Alka-Seltzers. They make a big splash, fizz for a while, and then they're nowhere to be found. You know why? Because working with teenagers and their problems.
For the long haul, baby.
1995 was when I first spoke in my first public school. And you know what? I'm not going to stop. I'm going to do it because you know what? When teenagers are out there and they're hurting, and our whole goal, Jade, is to help parents understand teenagers and help teenagers understand themselves.
There you go. Because
what's happening is there's a parent versus teen mentality out there. And teenagers, like I said, what Paige said, she said, why don't you just say, how can I help? If a parent would just get that rather than preaching to them, and we say, well, little pictures would be seen, not heard. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Well, they do. But their problems at our age are just as big as our problems as adults. And that's the whole goal of trying to let them know that there's hope.
Sure. That adds a layer, I do want to also address the parenting piece,
right.
Because I do feel that they're well-meaning and trying to save our children from, and if you just do what I'm saying, then you'll not have to. And if what's going on with them spills over into the rest of the home and your house, which we forget that what goes on with any of us does spill over,
yes, it does.
Again, outside of ourselves.
It does.
That removing all that as the noise and getting to where their voice is will make a tremendous difference in what we're trying to achieve, I think, together.
Exactly.
But there's stress in that. It's stressful being a parent.
There is. And that's what I want to
we know they're dealing with stuff.
And they are. Well,
we don't know how
we don't
to respond.
We don't
know how to help.
Nope.
And we don't know how to talk to them.
And we don't know their language. We don't know what they're into.
So then there's that they.
That's it. Us versus them mentality. And that's what I want Teens of America to do, Jade, is to be a bridge between parents and teens. Because you know what? If the teenagers don't have their parents' heart, they're going to give it to someone else. And the drug generation and the drug culture and all the suicide culture, it's very nurturing. And if we don't do it,
because it's always there.
It's always there. It's in your face. It's in your face.
When can I get high again to get out of this?
Correct.
And it'll be there.
Yes.
I can find my way there sooner than I can find some understanding with my mom and dad.
That's right out of the park there. Mm-hmm. And that's what we need to do is if we don't get that build that dialogue, is that parents don't have it and they don't think that they need help until it's too late. If I heard a parent say this, especially when they lost their son or daughter, they said, I wish I would have known what I know now then. Mm-hmm. My son or daughter would still be here and being proactive in what their teenagers are doing, what they're saying on the cell phone, what they're saying on social media. You better know social media as a parent. You better know what Instagram is and Snapchat, and you better know what your kids.
Snapchat. By the time I figured it out, the stuff was gone.
It's gone. Well, Musically. Well, now Instagram. Now it took over. Musically. You got. I'm a recycled teenager, is what I say.
Take me back.
Yeah, that's what, exactly. So I'm there. I'm a Toys R Us kid. I don't want to grow up. I just grew out. You know what I'm saying? So
you amounted to something now.
That's right. So they say, man, you got to get in shape. I am a shape. It looks like a zero. You know what I'm saying? So, but all that to say this is that once we give Paige or Jess and come here, give him a voice, and Sean, even Spanky, I had to deal with him whenever he was as a 16-year-old boy. He had some issues that we had some pretty hard things that I cared for him through that. Now, all I want to do is put them back in.
Wow.
All the teenagers that we have, that we work across the country. I mean, right now, I'm in deal with it, even Whitney in Chicago. We have teenagers in Minneapolis. We have Nicole Becker. So these are ones that are doing outreach, that are even doing something. I mean, all California. We're all, listen, we are in 26 countries right now.
Love it. We are answering the call. Send out the invitation, Sean.
Sure.
For our teenagers and for our parents and those that want to be a part to find out.
Good. Go to teensofamerica.net. Call or text us 314-502-9399.
One more time.
314-502-9399. That is there 24/7. Kids rather text, teenagers rather text. Well, I got a text, on Friday night, 4 of them in a row from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m., excuse me. So I'm answering them
you
right now.
You can text to this hotline too?
You text
That's
it,
awesome.
yes.
That's
and
awesome.
Also on our website, there's a Get Help now that they can chat with somebody live right there. Mm-hmm. And then I get them to where they're at. And we're on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Musically.
Everywhere where they are,
everywhere there's a social net bubble. We're there.
Anywhere, right.
So we're there.
Send a message to a teen who's listening right now so they know that there's nothing that should keep them from calling today.
Just remember that it may seem like it's a big problem right now. And it may seem like there is no way out, but there always is. Because it may seem dark for a time, but it always gets morning. The sun always comes out, just like Annie said, the sun will come out tomorrow. Tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar. But the thing is teenagers, young people, if you're listening at all, there's a place like Teens of America and other organizations and other people that care for you, that want to get you a long life, like Paige, like Jess, like Spanky. These are just illustration after illustration of teenagers that we've helped. Last week, listen to this. A young man, just so you know, a mother called our text line or got a hold of us through the helpline. I talked to her. Her 14-year-old son is now probably going to get prosecuted because of sending a sext message. And where he's from at East Coast, they are going to probably prosecute him and send him to juvenile detention home because it is a federal offense to have that as a child pornography and all that stuff. Well, she had nowhere to go. We got her and hooked her up with somebody. And you know what that young man said? He says, if I go to prison, I'm out of here. Well, we gave him hope that he seemed like there was nowhere to go. Yeah. And that's just, I could stay here all day.
Right.
Because you know what? All I want is Teens of America to be a household name.
There you go.
I want our radio show to reach 1 million plus, to be on 100 to 50, 150, 200 stations, so teenagers can come here. And then whenever we get them there, last week we had 10 teenage girls and guys want to be an intern for our show.
We go. And that's
how it is.
The more help that we can find.
They want a voice.
And be able to effectively reach and respond.
Exactly.
It just adds to that. So Monday nights, live Monday nights.
7 to 9.
7 to 9 Central Time at teensofamerica.net.
Listen live right there. You can listen on iTunes or TuneIn Radio. Just go search Teens of America Radio Network, and you can listen, call in. You know what? Here's the thing what teenagers need to understand. Their story matters.
It does. It does. Sean Mulroney, the founder and host of Teens of America, thank you for sharing what is going on and the work that you're doing with us.
Well, let me say this too. Jade Harrell, thank you for RareGem Productions and what you do. And you know what? You are a rare gem. And that's if we can get teenagers to understand that they are a rare gem, that they are a diamond. And now them teenagers are just pieces of coal right now. But you take them pressure. You withstand that pressure, you become a diamond.
That's right.
And they're diamonds in the rough, but you know what? Nobody cares about them until we show them that we care.
I love it.
So you, Jade, you letting us do this, you're all that in a bag of chips.
Well, it's my great pleasure, and I'll take some onion dip with that chip.
You got onion dip. You got whatever you want, whatever flavor. You want the haluva good or what? You got it.
I love it. Teensofamerica.net, teensofamerica.net on social media, wherever you download your content on demand, and wherever your young person may need to connect. We're excited to have you join us with the Alive and Well STL movement. Alive and Well STL is now a community-wide effort focused on reducing the impact of stress and trauma on our health and well-being. The research is clear. Stress and traumatic experiences are making many of us sick, and together are the leading cause of poor health outcomes. Take 5. Visit us at aliveandwellstl.com to find out where you are emotionally. Become an ambassador. Reach out and help build a supportive community. Learn resiliency skills. Get the help you need. Share your stories. Hear others. And learn more about stress and how it affects us. That's aliveandwellstl.com. Alive and Well STL is another positive production of RareGem Productions. Thanks for listening.